Hi, welcome to our first Kim Cooks Books. I'm Kim, and I hope you enjoy our review and our recipe today, and give me a thumbs up down at the bottom if you enjoy it. Today we're featuring a recipe from a culinary or a cozy mystery book. If you like books that have colorful main characters, a pinch of gossip, and a dash of romance, then culinary mysteries are for you. They are often amusing. They've got colorful characters, like I mentioned earlier. And they've got a wit to them, especially in the titles. I just love the titles. I mean, who could pass up Jessica Bett's Assault and Batter? Cute title. Or there's Christine Winger's It's a Wonderful Knife. Or Ginger Bolton's Survival of the Fittest. I think those are cute titles. And you know from the titles that you've got a pretty good creative read there. Today's recipe is a Chinese beef stir fry from Diane Mott Davidson's book, The Serial Murders. Goldy Bear is described as being a cross between Angela Lansbury and Paula Deen. I think that's a pretty good description. So let's get on with our cooking, and let's see if we can live up to the standards of Goldy in her Goldilocks Catering Company. To create Goldy Bear's Chinese stir fry, we're first going to put our pressure cooker and set it on the steam setting. We're going to need broccoli, pea pods, and corn. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook those ahead of time in our Instant Pot. If you put the vegetables in, set the pot on pressure cook with a cup of water, set it for 0 minutes, and let it cook. And then when you're done, be sure and do a release, and it'll be done all by itself. You'll pull those vegetables out. They'll be nice and al dente. Now we're going to place 2 tablespoons of oil into the Instant Pot. I'm using olive oil, so we're just going to go 1 and 2. All right, so we have our Instant Pot set on the saute setting. We've got our 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. And next we're going to add our beef. So we're going to put it on in there, and we're going to let that get nice and brown. Stir it around a little bit, and we're going to add a little bit of kosher salt. Not a whole lot, because we have a lot of seasonings that we're going to add to this. And then a little bit of fresh black pepper. That should be good. Let's stir that up. And I don't know if you can see, but we do have our meat cut in about 1-inch cubes. Also, when you're cutting your meat, remember to always cut it against the grain. And also, if you leave the meat just a little bit frozen, it's much easier to cut, and you can cut it pretty thin if you want to. So we're letting that simmer just until the pink is gone. And I think about now we're going to add our onion. I've got 1 onion, and I chose to use red onions. You could use white, yellow, whichever you choose. And I'm going to add that in. And we're just going to simmer that for about a minute. Oh, that smells good. The purple in the onion also adds a little bit of color. Makes it look a little bit nicer. I like dishes that have a lot of color to them. Okay, so it's turning out perfect. We've got our purple onions in there. We've got our meat. The pink is just gone. So we've simmered that for about a minute. Next, we're going to add 4 cloves of garlic. Just add that in there. That is really going to start smelling good there. Okay, so we're going to stir that up for about a minute. It's looking good. Okay. Now next, we're going to add our beef broth. Now this is 3/4 cup beef broth. Now you could also use a vegetable stock, anything like that, or you can even make your own. We're going to go ahead and add that in there. Instant Pots need a little bit of liquid to be able to work properly. So that gives it a little bit of liquid there. Next, we're going to add our soy sauce. And I've chosen to use a low sodium soy salt or soy sauce. You can use, whichever kind of soy sauce you choose, any brand. It doesn't have to be low sodium. So we put that in there. Okay, next we're going to add a 1/3 cup brown sugar. It's going to give it that touch of sweet. And we're going to stir that up in there. And this time we're going to let it cook just a little bit so we can just get that brown sugar dissolved there. Now I'm going to add my carrots right now, because I prefer my carrots cooked a little bit more than the al dente stage, just a personal preference. I've cut the carrots on a diagonal, but the carrots add such color to the dish. We want to add those in there. Didn't add a lot, but just enough to add some color. And we're going to add some sesame oil. This is good stuff. Doesn't take much, so we're just going to use just two teaspoons. Little bit goes a long way on this sesame oil, but if you don't use it, it makes a difference. Okay, we've got that little sweetness in there, and so now we want to give it a little bit of spice. So I'm gonna, you can smell that sesame oil right now. So I'm gonna give it about 1/4 teaspoon, and I'm gonna give it just a little bit more. Okay, I like things that have some spice to them. Next, we're going to add some ginger. We want about 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. And we're going to put that in there. So I'm going to give that a stir. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and turn the saute off. Go ahead and cancel that. And I'm going to go ahead and put pressure cook. And I'm going to set this, put my lid on first. I'm going to set this for 12 minutes. So let's bring this up to 12 minutes. And we're just going to let it go. Okay, our contents in the Instant Pot, it's been cooking for 12 minutes once it came up to pressure. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what they call a quick release. I always use my wooden spoon. We're just going to twist this over a little bit. There we go. We're going to remove our lid very carefully because it's going to be hot. Have just a little bit of steam left. Okay. And we're going to give that a stir. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to thicken up and make that sauce real good. So we're going to take about 1/2 cup of cornstarch. And we're going to add some water. Make it a little bit thicker than a paste. But you want to get that mixed real good. So we're going to mix that up. And what this is going to do, it's going to bring all of our sauce together. And it's going to thicken it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and stir while I add. And you might see it go ahead and thicken up pretty quick. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and push on the saute setting so we can get that heating up real good. It's not going to take long because it's already been cooking under pressure. So the pot's already pretty warm. So we added our cornstarch. And we're going to just stir that until the pot comes to a boil, just to simmer. So as you can see, that sauce is thickening up a little bit, and it's starting to simmer just a little bit here. So what we want to do is we want to add in our vegetables, and basically we're just going to heat them up. We're just going to cook them. We're going to add our little baby corn, about 8 spears maybe, and I cut them in half. And then we're going to add some pea pods. Gosh, maybe 20 or so, something like that. Okay, and then we're going to add our broccoli. And remember, this is all cooked al dente before we started. We're going to add our broccoli in there. And we're going to stir that up. Looking good. I like to see all the bright green and a little bit of that orange from the carrot and the yellow from the corn. Looks really good. Okay, so we've let that cook for a couple of minutes to allow all of our vegetables to get nice and warm. Okay, so now it's time to give this a try. What I'm first going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of rice that we made beforehand, and we're going to get a little bit fancy here. We're going to put it in a nice bowl, and we're going to just tap it down a little bit. Turn it onto our cake, and we get a nice little brown. And next, let's go ahead and dish up our meal. I'm going to go ahead and put to the side. Although I usually just put it on top of my rice. Doesn't matter either way. And make sure we get a little bit of all those vegetables. Let's get a carrot on the top just because it looks pretty. Okay. So we're going to do that. And I was told by my mama that we always want to garnish our food just a little bit, just to always make it look pretty. So I've just chopped up a little bit of celery here. I'm going to put just on the top of the rice to make it look pretty. And what is a Chinese meal without a fortune cookie? So there's our dish. I would say it looks pretty good myself. So what do you think of our recipe? We're going to give that a try in just a minute. What do you think of the Instant Pot? I really love my Instant Pot. I recently ordered the top that is a air fryer. So we're going to check that out. And we're going to try that in just a minute. But first, let me show some of these books to you. We've got Diane Mott Davidson. She's the one who writes about Goldy Bear. That's the book that we featured her recipe in. Joanna Fluke is one of my favorites. I just finished up reading Lemon Tart, and that was pretty amusing. That was one of those that, boy, I didn't think the person that did it. I was quite surprised at the end. But it was pretty good. I like that. All of them are just such a quick read. They don't have any gore in them. They don't have any bad language. They're just fun. So all these books are available through the North Las Vegas Library. They're available in book form. And I bet you could also download them as an ebook. So go to our catalog or give us a call, and we'll make sure you get one of these